Let's start with you didn't leave Arc Raiders and bugged it. By the way, I have a 50-minute video about why I stopped playing this game. Might be interesting for you guys to watch this. Here we go. This game got to be the biggest fumble ever. Oh yes. Yes, absolutely, 100%. I said that in my video, and before that. They had lightning in a jar with this game. And then they took the lid off and took a fat dump into it. Why the hell do I not... Why? I just see that... Hello viewer, I see you in my chat here, but I don't see you in my chat tool here. I hate technology. I hate this so much. Oh my god, now I have to doctor and oh my god. Oh no. Okay, now it works. Okay, thank god. I hate technology. Interesting game for you later this month. Which one? You want soon. Dawn of War 4. Aliens Fireteam Ally 2 and Gears of War E-Day. Okay. Dawn of War was Warhammer, when I remember correctly. I actually have the first one here somewhere. Fireteam 1 I've never played, but it looked okay. And Gears of War I never played because it was only on console. Life. So yeah, back to Arc Raiders. They had lightning in a jar. They turned the lid off and then took a big fat dump into the jar and then put the lid on again. That's what they did with the game. That's what they did, and it was horrible. Horrible. I can't understand how they could do that. With exception of not understanding the game they created, which is very clear that they don't. I think they see the game still as the same as it was the very first version where, you know, oh yeah, we're rushing a boss and kill it. I think they see the game still as being dead, which is completely wrong. Completely.
Most games go through the exact same life cycle. They get hyped up, and their player count just explodes as they release, but within a month, they lose about half of their active players. And then there's
Arc Raiders!
Yeah, I told you, lightning in a jar. They had actually. Let's take a look. This is Max. Do you see this? November they got up. This is still November. They had to fall off somehow here. Then they went up. This is December. They had. Look at this. This is good. This looked really good. There is a reason why everyone at the beginning was like, wow, this game is super successful. For basically 2 months. Oh my god, how is this possible? This is such an exception in the genre. AKA live service games. And then they fumbled with every update they released. Every update. And I mean that literally every update. Every little bit of balancing made the game worse. Now they have reverted some stuff like the, oh my god, weapon durability burn. They made that way worse for basically every weapon. That's what was the fix for people complaining that, oh my god, the weapon durability burn is so bad. So they made it worse. Then they reverted that. I think 1 or 2 weeks later. And now it's okayish. Oh, it's okayish. But yeah. There's a reason I stopped playing the game. Just like many others. I mean, look at this. I think I've never seen this low of a player count in Arc Raiders. Yeah, this doesn't look good. Wait, yes, it was, no, this wasn't the video. Forgot which tab it was.
You see, the game was just different than anything we had tried before, with a
Yes.
very unique PvP element of never knowing whether the guy in front of you would betray you or help you.
I'm friendly, but let me alone.
Oh, you want me to leave you alone? I thought we were going to team up. Oh, do you want to work together?
No, I play solo, but sorry.
Also, the PvE inside of the
That was, by the way, one of the main factors the game was so good. The problem with that is that there were so many sweats that came into the game, which ruined the game, kind of.
the game were machines that felt like they were literally being powered by AI.
Because they were. The behavior of them was created with AI. Always on the lookout for good new games? Well, there are a lot. And they don't have to be expensive.
For the first time in years, many of us players felt like a new game that had come out actually had some soul and magic in it.
For a very long time, we
Yes.
referred to this as a 10-year game. So that is the ambition. It kind of dictates the type and quantity of content that we want to put into it.
Embark
And that's one of the problems. I think that's one of the major problems. And I said that in my video. They have this 10-year outlook into the game that they completely forgot the here and now. They completely forgot that. And that's a problem. That's why the updates were crap. They were crap. And that's why their reset system, the expeditions, are... I can't even believe how bad that is. I mean, resetting your account every 60 days. Why? Why is that a thing? That's stupid. That's totally stupid. It's literally, oh, I find a blueprint that's really good because I like to use that gun. But in 3 weeks, there's the expedition and I'm doing that, so I basically don't use it. Yeah, great. Perfect. Oh, great. See where the problem is? Man, that sucks.
The studio behind it promised us 10 years of content, but then something happened.
Dude, Arc Raiders.
Something that would end up causing one of the biggest
This game is the biggest fumble I've seen. Arc Raiders lost 87% of its players. It is currently one of the fastest dying games on Steam. What is the reason? Oh, that's very easy. Oh, Emma, you really fumbled us. Yes, absolutely. The thing is, they never had to deal with people that don't do PvP. All the games they've worked on before were purely PvP games. Battlefield and the finals. And the finals is not really that successful. I mean, it's still alive, but it's not really that successful. Battlefield, well, yeah, it's Battlefield. It's a giant IP. And those games also die off quite fast. And that's only with a focus on PvP. So they have had zero, nada, niente experience with publishing content for an audience that's not PvP. And it shows. It literally shows. They fumbled this so bad. I knew from the beginning that them saying, oh yeah, we are bringing out an update every week. What? Why? There will be content every month or every 2 weeks. You can't do that. That's stupid. How do I know? Because Grinding Geogames did that with PoE 1 in the beginning, and it completely failed. And they say that, oh yeah, that was a huge mistake. We should have never done that. So then they changed to every 3 months. And that was, the golden goose. Every 3 months a new league, and people were happy with that. And they still are. And the approach of, oh yeah, we're bringing you content, new fresh content as often as we can, yeah, that's dumb. That doesn't work at all, not for no game. Ever. You have to bring out content that has, some weight behind it, like a new map. You don't make a new map with the detail of, modern games, but modern games, that doesn't mean a lot, of Arc Raiders within a month. You can't do that. That takes a lot of time, which is a problem. And then new enemies. We have 2 exploding enemies right now. Both are bolts. One is inside buildings, one is outside buildings. The inside buildings sometimes comes out of buildings. Sometimes. And the outside bolt sometimes gets into buildings. Why? Why are there 2 exploding bolts? Now I can understand the thinking. Oh yeah, we quickly make the same enemy, but a little different. Sure. I can get that. I can get that. But that would be the case when you have an abundance of enemies that are quite different to each other. And you don't have that. For example, when it comes to flying enemies, you have 2 big flying enemies now, the Rocketeer and the Vaporizer. And they are both good. I have 0 complaints about these 2. The Vaporizer is actually a good enemy, a good new enemy, because it works so different than all the others. It has, for example, it has a shield. When the shield is up, you can't damage it. That's interesting. The attack immediately deals damage. And not only that, it leaves a hot area where it hit the ground or the walls, whatever. And if you hit that, well, you get damaged. That's good. That's good design. But, 2 exploding bolts. Why? 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 Makes no sense. That's lazy.
Olofs we've ever seen in gaming history. Today, 90% of its player base is just gone.
I genuinely couldn't say enough good stuff because they actually were doing so much stuff right and they were making some great moves. I just don't know what really happened.
Now, I've been trying to find out why this happened, and I found something that I really didn't expect. Because the very
Really? I expected that. Oh yeah, that's a game designer, and he left for a new position. Might have been one of the reasons why the game is not going as well.
same man who made it had already foreshadowed what its biggest problems was going to be once it had released.
You'll see players jump on, they'll stay there for a while, but guess what? Then they drop out and go and do something else. Due to the fact the game didn't have the attributes or instruments needed to retain the players.
So why is it that he knew exactly what was going to kill it before it had even released, and yet just decided to do nothing? I finally think I found out why, and in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what happened to kill Arc Raiders, and by the end, you'll realize why not even the studio behind it can never bring it back. Meet Patrick Sutherland.
I think they can, but they need to, well, they already changed how they, push out new content, aka every 6 months, which I think that is too long. That is too long. I think the maximum people are willing to go is 4 months. because the thing is, this game doesn't have a hardcore audience that is willing to wait ages for new content, because the game is just, it's just not established in the hearts of the people. And yes, I mean it. Like I said, World of Warcraft and Warcraft in general is in the hearts of people, or at least it was. I mean, I know of Warcraft since Warcraft 2 on the PS1. And then I played Warcraft 3 on PC, and then I got into World of Warcraft. And I played that game for ages. So the World of Warcraft, literally the World of Warcraft, is in my heart. So I was always willing to wait for new stuff as long as the stuff is good. But turns out the stuff isn't good anymore because the people that work there are trash now. And so I stopped playing completely. I uninstalled finally not only the game, but even the battle launcher. Now, live service games in general have a problem with player retention because that's just how it is. Now, there are live service games that don't have the problem, which is Path of Exile 1 and 2. Why is that? Because they trained their audience that we bring out a new update, you come and play it if you like it, and when you're done with it, you are done. Which is completely different than every other live service game. They want you to permanently log in every day and play every day, all the time. Which is of course unsustainable. People get burnt out. People want maybe to do something else. Imagine that, doing something else than just playing one game for the rest of your entire life. Oh yeah, who could have guessed? And I think that's a huge problem with live service games. They expect people to play only your game and that all the time. Which is nonsense. That's stupid. If you just wouldn't do that and just, oh yeah, we will release new content every 3 to 4 months. Come back when that releases, if you like so. See you then. That would have been great. But the thing is, you have to communicate things like that with your audience. And they didn't do that. I mean, they said that, oh yeah, we are changing our schedule to every 6 months. And that after another mediocre update, which was bigger than before, but it was still mediocre. Which was Riven Tides, where we got the new map, which is called Riven Tides. And that map isn't great. I'm not really... I mean, if you want to farm certain arc, it's great. Because there are a lot of arcs. But that's it. For example, Vaporizers. If you want to farm Vaporizers, that's a great map for that. But yeah, no. The map itself is mediocre. And it was so buggy when it came out. I've seen so many reports about people falling through the floor in the hotel with us, which is the main area for loot. So yeah, the game is the map is, yeah, it's kind of whatever. And it's not like that it matters that we have that map, because overall the game has become so stale that people just are bored. I mean, there's a reason I stopped. Which isn't that I got bored with the game, it's because the game got boring. The game is just not as good as it was in December. December was the prime of this game. The absolute prime. That's where everyone was there. It was super fun. And now it's not. It's just not.
A Swedish businessman with one of the most impressive resumes in the gaming industry. Early in his career, he had founded a small indie studio to build game engines, which later would come to power huge titles such as Battlefield. As Battlefield evolved throughout the years, at its peak in production, it required more than 1,000 developers working on the game. And Patrick, he was in charge of all.
Which is way too many. Way too many. That's way too much people. Way too many. Because you need to pay all these people, which means the game needs to make so much money that you can't take any risks. You can't. The game has to be so formulaic that it's kind of boring.
All of this, overseeing thousands of employees. But Patrick had a very big issue because he didn't agree with the current state that the gaming industry was in.
The first game we built, we were 7 people to then oversee productions with over 1,000 people. Are the games themselves better? There are more of them, but are they actually better games?
Which is why in 2018, he
And by the way, I said it as someone that has played the original Battlefield. I think I have that still here somewhere. Battlefield 1942. I had no internet connection. I bought that game and I played it against bots for years. For years against bots. And it was great. Now, can you do that with modern games? No. You literally have to have internet connection. You have to have this and that, and that makes gaming, in my eyes, quite annoying. Quite annoying. Of course, bots aren't the same as, people, but you get the gist.
Left EA to found a new company to prove that you do not need a big team to create a great game. But starting a studio in 2018 is not something you just do.
To launch a new game today, it's harder and harder to break into kind of a critical mass that makes any financial sense.
That's kind of not really true. You can't just have a small studio make a small game that's successful. I mean, we literally have Portwood. Yeah, Portwood. Every developer on that game is a multimillionaire now, just because of the one game they made. So what's the problem here? Maybe your goal was too big. Maybe that's a problem. Yeah.
Patrick, he needed a publisher to fund all of his dreams. And lucky for him, he didn't have to look far. Enter Nexon, an organization consisting of 10,000 employees, bringing in over $3 billion a year. It was the publisher who could fund all of Patrick's dreams, and they needed his help. You see, Nexon was looking to expand into the Western market, seeing as that they were from South Korea and had dominated the Asian market for years. When you seek to expand, you need to find somebody to trust and to believe in. Patrick's track record of creating and running huge AAA games meant that Nexon were willing to place their bet on him. And with that, the dream...
Which actually makes sense. Financially, this is... From a business and financial standpoint, this is a good decision. This is a wise decision. Yes. Absolutely, I agree with that.
Of building the greatest games with the smallest teams was about to finally come true. From the get-go, they already had 2 specific games in mind that they wanted to create. One called The Finals, and the other called Arc Raiders. Now, Arc Raiders was supposed to be the first big hit and the game that would prove the industry wrong. And seeing as Patrick knew that being a small team allowed for more creativity to flow easily, it would make it much easier to create a story and build a world around it, which is essentially one of the main components to creating a AAA game. But just because the team was smaller, didn't mean that everything was much easier. At this point, it's 2020, which is 2 years after they had founded the studio, and no game was even remotely close to being shipped. Because...
Well, yeah, it's 2 years from founding a company and then, bring something out that can take a while, especially if you want it to be very detailed. And they wanted to do that. So yeah, it takes a while. It just does. It's not like back in the day where you had less detail graphically. So building the levels and stuff like that is faster. I mean, makes sense, right?
A great story and world is not the only component that's essential to create a great game.
in free-to-play, you need to, in some ways, make things a little stickier than they would be otherwise, take a little more time, a little more grind, just so players are more incentivized to then spend money on that game.
Now, Embark, they believe that the free-to-play model was the right one for their games. But no matter what gameplay loop they tried to implement within Arc Raiders, it just didn't work.
There was nothing that stitched it together. We lacked any sense of metagame or progression. So you'd have these fun sessions for a few times, but there was nothing that actually pulled you back or kept you going forward.
Embark was running out of time, and they knew that they couldn't force the golden nugget that would make the game good, which meant that the developers were starting to feel some real pressure.
Kyle, can you put a timeline to deliver this game? We need around 2 years. And the answer was no way, 6 months.
Now, this is when Embark did something that would define the future of their studio, because they put Arc Raiders on ice, and instead, they chose to focus all of their energy onto the other game that they were making, the Finals. Now, the reason why they did this was because that the Finals was a pure PvP game, which meant that the golden nugget or the core mechanic that would keep players playing was already there, the replay loop that they needed to make it a great game. As it was released, it completely exploded in popularity, reaching over 240,000 concurrent players.
And then it died off massively.
Finally, Nexon, the publisher, saw that Patrick and his team knew how to create great games, and Patrick got proof that his whole vision of creating a good game with a small team, well, that was actually possible, even though it took them 5 years to get there. But the success was only short-lived, because massive issues started appearing both left and right. Embark was...
Oh, and here we go. What are the issues? Tell me. Because I played the game, but number one, not in its peak, and number two, only for a weekend. I literally hated the art style, which is mostly the character design, because it made me want to vomit. Which is a problem with their studio. All the characters are not as great as they could be. Let me say it that way.
Struggling with hackers, cheaters, and just keeping up with making the matchmaking system fair, which...
So the same problem Arc Raiders has. Oh. Okay. I can see a reoccurring problem here, yeah.
Is issues that requires very fast fixing because it ruins the experience of playing the game. But when your core goal is to remain a small team, it means that you don't necessarily have the right resources to deal with these sort of problems. And by staffing up at this point, they would have to go against their own principle of remaining small. So within months, the Finals, they lost 90% of their player base. They went...
Oh, so just like Arc Raiders. Oh. I see more parallels here. And they're the exact same.
Went from 240,000 concurrent players down to 25. Now what Embark did next...
Now, how about we check? The Finals. One year. Yeah, it's very stable. It's quite stable. Wait, did it only come out 1 year? No, that's impossible. Oh yeah, 2024. Really? I don't remember it playing back then. I think I played it way more in the past. Maybe I'm wrong here. But yeah, this is abysmal. Yeah. Wait, they're basically on the same... Oh my god. Arc Raiders is almost down to the... Oh my god. Is almost as dead as the Finals. Oh, Jesus.
Next is actually quite different from many in the gaming industry, because they went out publicly and stated that they had made a mistake.
We didn't do a good job. We lost massive player numbers. It was evident there wasn't enough content in the game. We didn't do a good job enough onboarding players.
Now, as I told you, this was, according to Embark, an opportunity to learn from. And that's why they took everything that happened with the Finals and tried to apply it when building Arc Raiders. Firstly, if the Finals died from a lack of content, well, Arc Raiders wasn't going to. Embark went all in. As already showed you in a Q&A, they stated that they had 10 years of content planned. Second, and more importantly, Well, the team that had been trying to work on Arc Raiders while the remaining had shifted their focus to the finals, well, they had finally found the golden nugget. And I'll show you in a second what that is. Arc Raiders was ready to take the world by storm. On the 30th of October, 2025, Speranza became open to the public as the game was released across all platforms.
Yeah.
But unlike most other AAA
And I was there. It was great. I had so much fun playing this game. So much fun. And I even started playing a game in the servers LAN a month earlier. That's when I tested out the game for free and fell in love with it.
Games, Embark did something that's genuinely genius. You see, instead of pricing the game at the typical premium of $70, $80, they had instead ditched the idea of making it free to play and put a $40 price tag on the game. Some might think that
Which is genius. That's why they got so many players. And I even bought the deluxe edition because I was so, yeah, this is gold. This is a great game. It's worth the money. And to be fair, at least time-wise, I got what I paid for.
They lost out on potential money from this, but matter of fact is just that they sold within 10 weeks over 12 million copies. Do you realize how much money that is? That's about $500 million. Now, as I told you earlier, Embark knew that content was crucial to keep their players coming back to the game, which is why that only a day after releasing it, they already announced the first big roadmap, an entirely new map, brand new and very unique enemies that we hadn't seen yet to fight against. Updates that actually felt like it mattered. And
yes. And then they ditched that for months. Bringing out updates that didn't matter. New enemies that no one really cared about because they were kind of boring. Dangerous but boring. And then no new map for 6 months. Yay. And oh man, don't get me started about the weather conditions. No, map conditions. Which are just weather conditions.
the first update came within 14 days of the game's release. And from here, things only got even crazier. Instead of the typical post-release decline of players, Embark would throughout the next months just break their own records constantly, and at one point reach over 3 million people logging into the game every day. If you turned on Twitch, you'd see Arc Raiders in top 5, and that's not for weeks, but for months. So how does a studio make a game that gets that many people playing at the same time? Now, do you remember when I said that Embark had found their golden nugget? The key mechanic that would give the game its magic. To show you what it is, I need to introduce you to someone. Meet the Burnt Peanut.
Oh no.
Another Twitch streamer who started streaming Arc Raiders the day it was available. But he's not like most of the other streamers out there. Now, what makes him so important to proving my point of what the magic of the game was? It's not that he was the best at the game.
Good bingo. Oh shit. Oh.
In fact, it was that he wasn't the best at the
game. Yeah, he's funny. He's funny. That's the point.
Game. Imagine that you're off of work or school for the Christmas holidays. You boot up the game, and it's the Cold Snap event that just came out, meaning that...
Which I loved. While this was going on, 90 to 95% of my raids I did in Cold Snap. And I have said that a lot of times before. Cold Snap is my favorite map condition. And it's gone. They brought it back after it was gone the first time, but it's already gone again. Without any announcement that it's gone again. So I was just sitting here like, where's Cold Snap? Where's Cold Snap? Why can't I never see Cold Snap? Ever. Man.
You get double points when doing your weekly trials. And one of those trials are telling you to go kill some Arc. Now, with the event live right now, it's the perfect opportunity for you to log into the game and beat your previous record. So you pack a ton of explosives together with some meds and one of your best weapons to defeat the Arc. Ready to do some PvE missions.
And then you get killed by some random.
There you are, running out in the open of the map Bluegate with a loadout worth of 80,000, hoping that you won't run into another player. But suddenly, you hear somebody approaching you. It's the Burnt Peanut.
You know, you're actually my first victim of the week.
I just wanted to do my trial, but it's unfortunate I ran into you.
Well, maybe on the next round.
All good, man.
That's not true. He's lying. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. He wasn't lying. I feel like a piece of shit. Oh my God. I don't even know if this loot's worth it. I can't even get it out of my mind. Boy, we have to give this stuff back. What was that guy's name? Oh, hello, good sir.
How's it going, man?
We're getting you your items back. Ready up. You want to run this raid or you want to leave?
We can do the trial if you want, because it's kill Rocketeers.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And this is where the magic of Arc Raiders happen.
Exactly.
Because you see, initially, the story of the game and the game itself was meant to be purely PvE focused. But Embark had realized that by making it possible for everyone to kill each other, they had found one of the most incredible replayable loops ever.
If you think about what happens when you play against other humans, you just realize that that finite distance gets closer to infinite, because now you have all the permutations of human behavior in the session. Some players might not like playing another person because you'll get tryhards that are very, very good. But if we do our job well, then you'll have something that feels balanced and fun, even if you're not the best at aiming or the best at shooting.
And no, of course PvP is nothing new, but what you get in a typical PvP game is the predictability of knowing that everybody's out to shoot you. When you run into someone in Call of Duty, well, you shoot them, obviously. You don't ask questions first. The same goes for any Battle Royale. But in Arc Raiders, seeing as it's an extraction shooter where you don't have to kill everyone to win, the guy walking towards you might not be there to fight you at all. He might be farming blueprints or doing his trials or just looking to defeat one of the harder arcs to find specific materials. And this creates the unpredictability of never knowing what might happen next. It creates constant
and that was great. It was great. But things changed. Things changed. There was more often, PvP lobbies and PvE lobbies. Literally. And that's just how things were.
Tension, and that makes up for a very unique experience, which forces you to have these weird, strange, and funny encounters with other people from around the world, which makes for genuine feelings of betrayal and connection between real people. But this is also why a steady stream of content is more important than ever to a specific game like Arc Raiders. Because if unpredictability is the core mechanic of the magic between its players, well then there needs to be different people logging into the game for different reasons. The second that there's no new corners to explore, or we've beaten the same arc for the 100th time, the guy doing PvE, farming blueprints, or just looking to farm materials, well, he stops loading in. And the only ones that are left are those who have one thing in mind, and that is to shoot everyone they see on sight. The PvPers. Which literally kills the magic of the game, because then it becomes predictable. Because you know that whenever you see somebody, they're going to shoot you, and you have to shoot back at them. No longer there's any genuine and unexpected interactions between people. Now, I want you to remember this for later.
He's absolutely right with that.
Later, because it's very important to understand what happened to the magic and why Embark can't bring it back. Now, in a game like Arc Raiders, content can never just be new skins or weapons.
Which is exactly what they're doing at the moment. And they're doing that for months now.
Because it has to give players real and different reasons to log into the game, which is also why it was a genius move by Embark to have a roadmap ready. And throughout the months of the release of the game, it would consistently stay among top 5 on Twitch, with a guy like the Burnt Peanut streaming it every single day for hours upon hours. But for the first time, something was about to go very, very wrong. When you attract millions upon millions of people in a game that needs a fine balance between those who come to PvP and those who come to PvE, then you also attract those who seek to ruin the experience for others. And the timing of what was about to happen next, it couldn't be any worse. Hackers had found their way into every single lobby that the streamers were playing, and the players also started to notice that you could get headshot from across the map. The biggest streamers got targeted every day live on stream, making the game unplayable.
They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. I can't believe it. Jesus Christ.
Those guys. Dude, one of those guys was hacking, bro.
Where are they even shooting us from?
Oh, there's a guy!
Where? Oh! Oh my God, he's cheating. What a sweet treat. What a sweet delight.
Brother, you realize you're gonna get fucking banned, right? Like 100% you're getting banned.
Yeah, he's cheating.
Yeah.
6 cheaters, by the way.
Yeah, he's cheating.
You're just so fucking fat, bitch.
And while all of this was
I'm so happy I'm not a PvPer. I'm so happy I didn't run into this shit. Now, I, of course, got killed, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if it were cheaters or not. Absolutely not, because I'm not into that, you know, scene of doing PvP in that game. I just don't.
going on, Embark had a huge problem on their hand, because they had been grinding years on end to ship the game, and just as they had gotten through the first months of the release, the team had sent out a Christmas card to every player, stating, "We are gone on Christmas break. There were no end date." And they chose to take a break while they were running one of the biggest multiplayer online service games, so there were no one to enforce any anti-cheat, and the stream snipers and hackers, well, they were just running loose. Literally everyone started taunting Embark for not prioritizing the player experience. But Embark just remained completely silent until January 5th. Better late than never, Embark had returned to the office, immediately putting up 3 job posts for anti-cheat roles. But that's when they made another mistake that would come back to haunt them much later. Because they knew they had to address their lack of presence and hopefully reattract some of the players that was lost along the way. So they had sent out another letter to the players. And that letter stated, "We are here for the long term, to build a game that continues to excite and surprise. We hope you stick around for the journey." Oh, the irony of this message you're about to see. Now, together with that, they also awarded everyone who had been playing throughout the winter 1,000 free credits to use within the game on skins. Now, luckily for Embark, they had something very soon coming up. Something that could make amends with the players. Because January 23rd, they announced the next big roadmap called Escalation. It was a new update coming every month.
I remember that. Yeah, that completely fell flat. That completely fell flat. That was a nothing burger. That was so disappointing. Every month you wait for an update and there's just nothing. And then you get, oh, one new arc. Oh, a new weather condition. And the problem isn't even that. I mean, the weather conditions, generally they're a good idea. That's great. But currently there are 6 maps in the game, and we have 5 weather conditions, major weather conditions, and there are at maximum 2 active at all times. Maximum 2. Sometimes there's only 1. 1 of 5. Why is that? People would like to play in them, but we can't have that because that's fun. That's why.
Just like we had when the game released. Now, the roadmap didn't exactly say what the updates would contain, other than just headlines of new map conditions and enemies to fight. Surely this would make amends and get people back into the game, experience the magic that it had. Right? Well, that was not exactly what was about to go down. In fact, everything is about to get much worse.
Yes.
Come the first update of the roadmap, the entire player base couldn't believe what Embark had chosen to release.
It's called Bird City. You go around and you loot.
No, you gotta be joking. What is it actually?
You go around and loot nests that the birds drop.
To be fair, that thing is actually cool. If you're lacking resources and money, Bird City is actually really cool. I actually like Bird City. They're making fun of it, and I can see why, but it's fun. It's really nice. Now it's only active, I think, twice per day now. And of course only on 1 map. But still, it's nice.
Actually put a shotgun in my hand, of course, to play the game.
But it didn't just stop at Bird City, because in the same patch, Embark had tried to do something against the cheating.
Oh, anti-cheat. A 3 strikes progressive ban system is in the process of being implemented. Bans will progress from 30 days to 60, and finally a permaban for repeat. If that better be for just exploitation. If they're talking about aim hacks with a 30-day ban, these guys are actually off the rocker.
Do you notice how the tone has shifted? Instead of Embark being this new, quirky, small indie studio that had made some of the best games of the decade, they were starting to get labeled as clueless as to what their players want. But the hacking and the bad content updates were about to be the least of their problems. Because very soon, something was about to literally ruin the game. One random morning, the Burnt Peanut had just started his stream as he ran into a stranger. A stranger who had been trying to track down the Burnt Peanut live on stream to warn everyone of what was about to happen to the game.
Oh. Okay.
Somebody there?
Yeah.
I might have seen this in a short before, but I don't remember because it's a while ago.
Hello.
Would you like a rubber duck?
I would love a rubber duck. Yes.
Take some ducks.
Oh, thank you, good sir.
Oh, this is about the duplication glitches. Oh my god.
You cheat to get these ducks.
Mr. Peanut.
This is a lot of ducks.
Mr. Peanut, we need to get something patched. You're going to take those 2 ducks.
Okay.
Now you're going to split the 2 ducks. So split them. And
don't wait. Everybody's saying I can't do this.
Mr. Peanut, it is a broken feature, and I'm bringing awareness to the feature. You should definitely contact somebody because it's kind of weird.
Oh, okay. I will tell someone, but I shan't do it myself.
You see, players had found a way to endlessly duplicate the very same rubber ducks that were found inside the chimneys of the Bird City map condition. They weren't really worth much, but...
Not worth much, it's 7k. That's one. That's a lot. That is a lot. If you look at the things in the game, that's a lot. Now, they don't stack, but you can have a full inventory of these. That's a lot of money.
When they stacked up to 50...
But to be fair, money is not really worth a lot in the game because you barely use it. At least I did. I didn't.
And you could just duplicate them endlessly, you could extract from the game with over 2 million of the game's currency.
Yeah.
That's over 10 times of what a really good raid would net you. Within hours, the entire game's economy was literally just destroyed. But it wasn't just the economy that was the victim of this duplicating glitch. Oh no, because the players had found out that you could also duplicate explosives. And that became a much, much bigger problem.
I think both teams are doing it. I think everyone's doing it. Stay back, you demon!
Oh my god!
Every lobby was literally unplayable, as every player ran rampant with just unending C4. Now, Embark, they knew they had to take this serious, because if you didn't already realize, this has happened to them before. They experienced the exact same issues back when the finals had released. Too many technical problems and not enough developers to fix them. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Embark knew it had to be different this time. They had to do something about it, and they had to do it immediately. So within a matter of hours, they actually managed to patch the game, while punishing those who had been using these bugs with ill intent. Within a few days, everything seemed to be back to normal, except something had been going down. Only this time, it wasn't inside the game. In fact, it wasn't even inside the studio. The game studio Bungie had been working on a game exactly like...
Really? Really? That Marathon is being seen as, oh my god, this is dangerous for Arc Raiders? No, and it never was. This game is trash.
Arc Raiders, called Marathon, but unlike Embark, they had one massive edge. You see, they didn't have some sort of principle of keeping their team small. In fact, it was far from it. You see, Bungie already knew how important it was to keep a steady stream of content and ensuring that hackers and exploiters couldn't ruin the game experience for everyone else. Which is also why that Bungie relocated 300 of their 850 developers onto Marathon. Just for a comparison, Embark had 60 people working on Arc Raiders.
Yes, but we have to keep in mind here, Marathon is a major flop, and Sony just laid off half the people at Bungie. Half the people at Bungie are gone. So keep that in mind.
That means that Bungie could essentially create content 5 times as fast. Now they were...
But is there any? And by the way, only because you have more people doesn't mean you are working faster.
Weren't shy of letting Embark know that they were trying to take them down.
Anyone found to be cheating will be permanent from playing Marathon forever and no second chances.
Bro, I'm telling you, this is such a shot. This tweet is literally directly at Arc Raiders.
On paper, Bungie had exactly what Embark didn't. But then the game actually came out. The studio had paid the streamers a ton of money to play the game, but the second that the Burnt Peanut opened up Marathon instead of Arc Raiders, his own chat turned on him.
How much they pay you to play this trash? I'm getting $1 million a minute, actually. This game is shit. This game is trash. Listen to your audience. If we keep dogging on new games, what you're gonna have until you are 90 is Call of Duty 56, Halo 72. Everybody's like, oh, dude, it's the same game every year.
Now, when people described the experience of playing Marathon, it felt a lot more snappy, and it reminded people much of a PvP game like Apex Legends.
Well, yeah, because it's an ego shooter. First person, you know. Of course it does feel like that. I mean, that's a studio behind Destiny 1 and 2 and Halo. What did you expect? Duh.
This game is
You see, Peanut's audience and most of the players had already realized what 300 of the developers at Bungie hadn't. Marathon just didn't have the magic that Arc Raiders did. Nobody really had the genuine experience of running into people that were out doing PvE. Instead, most just shot each other on sight. And that's the whole thing, as we already discussed. No uncertainty. There's no, are you friendly? Instead, it's just another PvP game like the rest. The thing that Bungie was really good at was not creating a good game. Rather, it was running it. And it simply couldn't kill Arc Raiders. In fact, no other competitor really could. Because the only studio capable of actually killing Arc Raiders was Embark.
Just like Blizzard killed World of Warcraft. Just like Blizzard killed World of Warcraft. No other company could kill World of Warcraft. But Blizzard could, and they did. Oh my god, World of Warcraft is so dead. And I'm not sad about that. It's, I mean, that's what I expect from the people that work on the game.
You see, while all of this had been going down, Arc Raiders' player base was in fact bleeding. And that's not because Marathon drew people away. Oh no. In the midst of it all, Peanut actually highlighted live on stream what the problem actually was.
I don't think they're coming out with content as fast as we need them to.
And some streamers already had started to leave the game. Which is why, as a response to this, Patrick did something that you would never expect. Something that would go literally against his own philosophy of creating the studio, Embark. In an interview with IGN, Patrick stated that they would finally be growing the studio, hiring more people, building more of Arc Raiders, and building even more of the finals. Maybe that could get Arc Raiders back on track. Now, of course, hiring takes time, and we were still in the middle of the roadmap escalation, which means that we, the player base, had to rely on the already planned content for the coming months. Remember the first one? The one that had Bird City in it? That cost Arc Raiders 20% of its player base. But that's when Embark really dropped the ball. They put in new map conditions and enemies to fight. On paper, it was
yes, but that's literally it. Where is it? I think this is it. Yeah. New map condition that was Hurricane, which the Hurricane damages your shield, and it blows arc away, and you have low visibility. The new arc threat that were the new Rolly Ball and the Firefly. I think that's it. Yes. And that's literally it. That's the content. Now the player project, you can see as add content, but no one cares. You're doing shit for cosmetics, basically. Raider deck, same, just for cosmetics. Map update, yeah, sure. Some balancing of the maps, yeah. Expedition, yeah, that shit. Oh, and then in March, a new map condition. I don't even know what that is. absolutely don't know. In March? I don't know. New arc. I don't even remember this. I completely don't remember this.
The bowl. They put in new map conditions and enemies to fight. On paper, it was actually exciting, and players were trying to figure out and speculating as what these new enemies could be. Some got very creative and thought that we would get an arc that could disguise itself as another raider, gesturing emotes and asking if you were friendly just to lure you in to finally attack you once you got close. But what we got was nothing like that.
The only major update that they done to the game was adding those 2 other arcs, and I just could not imagine the meeting. They're like, guys, what about instead of a ball that shoots fire, there's a drone that shoots fire, and the whole room just goes insane.
Yeah.
What will they think of next? I love to pick their brain for a second.
We felt cheated, and we also felt bored, as what we got was more like something they had come up with in panic. And with this, the game took another big hit and lost 30% of its player base. But we're not done yet, because the roadmap had just one more update to go.
The 31st is the update, right?
Yeah, there's a new map condition, they're saying.
So we had Bird City, then we had Hurricane.
Careful, spotters.
What are we gonna have next? What, slightly cloudy? A small drizzle? A bit chilly outside? What's the big plan Imbok is cooking up these days?
Yeah.
And with that, of course, the headlines also changed to, can Riventides, the last update, save Arc Raiders? Now,
oh, Riventides. Oh, yeah, that thing, yeah. That's the update that brought, well, the map Riventides. And I think I played the map once or twice, and then I was basically done with it. I didn't touch it after that for weeks, because I just didn't like it.
Riventides was actually a different update than the rest, because we could see in the roadmap it stated that we would get an entirely new map.
New map Riventides, not a worry on my mind.
And a new map would be very different, because we hadn't gotten that the past 5 months. A lot of the speculation in the community were that this would be a coastal themed map. One that was of huge scale, where we could go explore the coast and see some of the industry of the harbor there. But
the map is really small, really small. It's a small. I think it's the smallest or second smallest map in the game. There are 2 main exits, and yes, 2. That's how small the game is. The map is. And 3 radar hatches. Great.
But as it released, players found it shockingly small, empty and claustrophobic compared to the teasers. Despite the coastal theme, the actual shoreline and ocean water were largely kept out of bounds. And even worse, the map suffered from an incredibly low density of items that you could loot, which gave players very little to no reason to load into the map to go explore it. This final patch made the game take a huge hit on its active player count, as it lost 40% of its players. Even the Burnt Peanut finally had it. He left it and put the game on the shelf. But while everyone was sort of running away, there was still a tiny, small glimpse of hope. Because as I told you earlier, Patrick had actually gone against his own vision and started to hire new people. But what if I told you that this is actually not what happened? Because in the very same statement, Patrick actually showed us his very true colors. Let's go back to it real quick, because I want to show you something. Do you see this? In the very same interview, as stating that they want to build more of Arc Raiders and the finals by staffing up, Patrick also admits to having 2 new games in development that they hope to finish. In reality.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, that explains why. Yeah, that explains everything. I didn't even remember this. But yeah, that explains it. Yeah, no wonder that small team doesn't get anything done. No wonder. With a studio of 60 people, you can't have 2 live service games currently running and develop two more games. That's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. That's ridiculous.
In reality, Patrick hadn't gone against his own vision of creating great games with small teams. You see, the money that they made from Arc Raiders, it wasn't going to be spent to deliver the 10 years of content that they had promised. You might be asking, well, Rick, how do you know that? And I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. In May 2026, Nexon, the publisher of Embark, you might remember, They went out publicly and stated that Arc Raiders would no longer get its monthly content. Instead, only every 6 months. Now, to no surprise, in June, as it was the first month without a proper update.
To be fair, that's not a problem as long as the updates are massive. And yes, massive. They have to completely change the game, basically. At least one new map, a bunch of new arcs, a bunch of map conditions, but that doesn't mean yeah, you don't even need new map conditions, because the map conditions that are in the game already, you never see them. So why implement new ones? That isn't even worth the time developing. Yeah, new guns, new equipment, stuff like that, and you have to have massive amounts of that with every update. If you push out updates every 6 months. If you don't do that, yeah, the game is dead.
The player base just dropped by another 43.5%. What happened
Hello,
to
buddy.
all the things that they promised that they had to show us coming back from their Christmas break? What happened to 10 years of content? I wish I could tell you why that they would make up empty promises, but maybe I can help you imagine. Because do you remember when the founders said this?
We'll see players jump on, they'll stay there for a while, but guess what? Then they drop out and go and do something else. So it's on us as game developers. It's not the gamer's fault. You know, we need to do a better job making sure that they have a need and a desire to stick around playing our game.
Patrick knew that with Arc Raiders, they did indeed have a banger of a game at hand. And he also knew what its main problem would be. They had just gone through it from the finals. Why would you think that just one well-planned roadmap would be enough? Why wouldn't he act on his own worries? Now, the answer is quite ironic. You see, Patrick founded Embark, as I've stated multiple times, with the ambition to prove that it doesn't require a big team to create a great game. But there's just one very important thing that he's left out of that beautiful vision. Because creating a great game is only half of what makes it succeed. Keeping it alive and relevant is the other half. Embark is a studio made to build games, not run them. And every time
Which you can see because they're so incompetent. Never played Arc Raiders? Well, there's literally no reason to start anymore. The game is basically done. Remember a space game that flopped on launch and got better? Over Starfield? Well, yeah, it's definitely not Starfield. That game is still shit. So this is entertainment tonight for games. Yes, basically, yes. And while we are at, how to run a live service game. This is how you run a live service game. They came out, they did, oh yeah, we release updates as often as possible to updates every 3 months. And look at this. They only grew. This is success. Let's go to 3 years. This is success. Every peak is a new season. People play it until they get bored with it and then they leave. They do something else. And then when a new announcement comes up, they look at it and then they decide, am I going to play this or not? Then, oh yeah, I play it. And that's going on for years. Years and years and years. This game came out in I actually started in closed beta in 12 or 13. And Path of Exile 2, of course, same studio. The same thing. Now, the peak still was on release of the early access, but we can see. But this is also, you have to pay to get into early access. So at the end of this year, most likely in December, when the game goes free to play, we have the complete campaign and complete end game, which we finally have. I expect this to maybe even reach 1 million. When they got so many people, when the game came out unfinished, and you had to pay money for it. Imagine the player numbers when they come out with the finished game, and it's free to play. You have never been into Diablo 2. In college there was a remake. Oh. You must be quite young. Miss Heroes of the Storms. To see. Oh. I played Heroes of the Storms. It gave me actually headaches. I'm not sure why. I think it was the field of view. One guy is streaming to 72 people. Well, that's more than I have. Okay. But yeah, you can release content and you can have a live service game that doesn't fall off. If you know how to release content, which MBug obviously doesn't. You think Path of Exile will make Blade for players, but it also there's a meme where someone is shown the full Final Fantasy X sphere grid, but it zooms out. Oh, you mean the passive skill tree? Yes. The passive skill tree. It's massive. It's very intimidating if you are new. Yeah, the Path of Exile. This goes for Path of Exile 1 and 2. And that's just the passive skill tree for the main character. You have also passive skill trees for the end game. When you do maps. You want that? Good. Good. I like stuff like that too. That's why I play the game. It's overwhelming and I never go for the end game boss because I get bored and annoyed that everything takes so long and is so complicated, but that doesn't mean I don't like the game. I spent a lot of money into the games. It gave you a headache when we were trying to look at it. I can understand that. I can totally understand that. And that is why you use skill guides. No, build guides. Your favorite game of all times is Morrowind. Understandable. I actually got that back in the day and I was too stupid to play it. I was so stupid. Here comes the but. What is the but? You had no idea about? You read IGN. Oh, big mistake. Huge mistake. The people at IGN are fucking retarded. But that's not hard. They're games journalists. They reviewed it. They reviewed what? But not Morrowind. That game is too old. You wanna respect everyone? No. Don't. Respect has to be earned. And I think it's very clear that games journalists don't deserve respect. I think it's very clear. Human beings deserve respect? No. People that behave in a way that earns them respect deserve to be respected. I'm very simple when it comes to that. Very, very simple. Okay. You have read magazines. You have read from magazine workers reviewing games in the 80s for things like ZX Spectrum and C64. Well, yeah. That was back in the day. The thing is, back in the day, people that were reviewing games were playing games. They liked games. The people at the games journalists these days, they don't like games, which is very clear on how they review games. Before you were born. Well, yeah. I still remember how cool it was to read articles and games magazines in the 90s and the early 2000s. I had those magazines, man. I had so many of them, and then I threw them away because, you know, they're in the way. Everything is just in the way. At a certain point, you can't just keep everything just for nostalgia. That just doesn't work. At all.
Project comes along, if they don't hire more staff, they are forced to take people away from the existing projects. They instead choose to spend the money that they made from selling 16 million copies of Arc Raiders on creating new projects that they can't even disclose yet. But unfortunately for Embark, the truth is just that by doing this 2 times in a row, you are starting to show a pattern, which means that they are also in a bit of trouble here. Because selling these new projects that are undisclosed in the future will also require them to rely on their reputation as a studio. Embark can't pull the new in class card anymore, because the repeat pattern of creating empty and broken promises is creating distrust within their own players. And speaking of empty and broken promises...
Yeah, I... Already with the finals, I was like, oh, it's another one of these studios, you know, DEI hires and stuff like that. So why would I say that? Because the characters in the game are ugly, or at least not attractive, and the same goes for Arc Raiders. That's a pattern. And now they have a pattern of basically abandon the games. So yeah. So why would I trust them again with a game? Why would I? I mean, I don't buy EA games anymore, or Activision, or Blizzard, or Microsoft. I avoid things like that, like the plague, because I don't want to give pieces of shit money. So yeah. I think I have to put Embark on that list too. Who could have guessed?
What do you think Patrick's role is today? Well, it's not only running Embark Studios. In February, just as Arc Raiders had literally peaked, he had got a new job offer. One that he simply couldn't refuse. Nexon, Embark's own publisher, had offered him to become executive chairman of the entire organization, which consists of 10,000 employees, while also running Embark that today has 500 employees. So much for trying to get away from long-running productions and to create a small studio with the vision of making great games with small teams. Now, with the first 6-month update coming soon in October, not all players has lost hope just yet.
Yeah. I've never seen a game fumble
so hard. I honestly still think there's a chance. Listen, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I don't think it's dead yet. I think they still have a chance. I believe this is their last chance. I will say that. If they sit down and crack it out and hit us hard, I think there's a chance.
But the problem is just that the players that are left, they're not just any type of player. If you look up any stream or YouTube video about Arc Raiders these days, it's clear that the goal of the players that are left are to kill as many people as possible.
Yeah.
They are strictly PvP players, which essentially also makes it close to impossible for either a new player or a returning PvE player to return to the game. Because every time you enter...
That's actually not true. Until I stopped playing the game, I was in PvE lobbies all the time. There was rarely any PvP going on. Rarely. You don't want to hear from a peanut even learning Rust syntax from a Chinese flag person. Okay, so what?
a lobby, the first time you see another raider, they're not going to ask you if you're friendly. They're just going to shoot you on sight. What's important to Arc Raiders and its magic is that it has a steady stream of content that can constantly pull in players with different reasons to play the game. And if that only comes every 6 months, no matter how meaningful it is, only in a matter of week, the same players who had returned will now be gone again. And the same lobby...
Which is not the problem. That's not the... People don't understand how to make games. The people don't understand that it's fine to play something for a while and then just leave. Well, why is that a problem? It's not a problem. Oh my god. Why is everyone these days so stupid? Learn from the people that actually made it, aka grinding G games.
This will turn into PvP only again, with no real interaction to be found between its players. Maybe Embark can bring us back to Speranza, maybe for a short while. But you and I both know that we will never get to experience Arc Raiders like we once did.
He's right. He's absolutely right. I will never have as much fun in Arc Raiders again as I had in December after it came out. Which is sad. Which is really sad. Because I really like this game. I was looking forward to the roadmap and everything new releasing. I was really looking forward to it, but seeing how everything unfolds within the company and the game, why would I give a damn anymore? And that's fundamentally the thing. Why would I care about live service game? About this live service game that doesn't know how to bring content when I have 2 other live service games that do know how to do that, and I enjoy playing that game, those games. Why would I care about more live service games? Yeah, that's fundamentally it. But why would I care? Yeah, this is a good video, very good video from Rick Ray. Good analysis, but still at the end he was still like, oh yeah, game needs to have massive amounts of players all the time, which is wrong. It's wrong. But that's a problem with PvP games. PvP games need that because they need all the players all the time because you have to shoot other people, right? If you have a PvE game, you don't. You can't have months without new content. And then you bring out content and then people come back. It's just like that. It's literally just what grinding G games does with PoE 1 and 2. Yeah. And with that, we are at the end of this video. Let me know in the comments if you... Well, do you agree with me? Do you agree with him? And if you like this, give it a like. If you want to see more of this, subscribe. And see you next time. Bye-bye.